I think people that you're really close to are often the people that it's most difficult to have a real argument with, because you're sort of terrified of hurting them somewhere. It's very motherly, actually, in this.
I'm a mother myself, so I can relate in some ways.
Her children drive her to distraction, but she loves every one of them equally. All my children are really slow.
That's interesting.
Isn't it?
I always say it's so interesting to put a character like that in the centre, like as a romantic lead, because he's not in the centre of his own life.
Trust between generations isn't necessarily given, it's built.
They also say youth is wasted on the young.
How do you feel about that?
You've taught me to trust a little more.
Do you think Violet understands Benedict?
We all come with baggage, and it's quite nice to show that.
Hello again.
Hello.
It's lovely to see you.
You
And
too.
you.
I'm so happy to have the chance to interview you both, because I'm really fond of your characters' relationship this season. I'm a mother myself, so I can relate in some ways.
Yeah.
And since Bridgerton has always been about love, I'm noticing that this season we are focusing on the evolution of family relationships. So I was wondering, how would you describe the emotional shift between Violet and Benedict as he begins to define his life on his own terms?
I think she's disappointed that you're slow to grasp the idea of sort of stepping up.
Yes.
I think that's a hard one for her, because she always has a challenge with most of her children, but this is quite irritating. And then when you do express an interest, there's a complication because of Sophie, and then the realization that you could ruin her. And so but in amongst all of that, she loves him, you know. Her children drive her to distraction, but she loves every one of them equally.
Yeah. I think also maybe there's an added element that you've sort of been indulging him for a few seasons now, and he doesn't know. He's like, oh no, this is normally like, no, I should have been on to you on season 2, the 1 or whatever. But I still, I've let you had a bit of rope, but now time's up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a challenging relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Violet is both a mother, but also a guardian of social order. How does she navigate the delicate balance between protecting Benedict and allowing him the freedom to challenge the rules of their world?
I'm not sure. I think I'm on your case quite quickly this time. I think exactly what you said. Giving him some freedom before you were unaware of, and this time I think I'm, especially as soon as there's a chink in your armour and you express any interest, then she's on his case.
Yeah, but I think also like the freedom, I think it's very motherly actually, in the sense that Violet can see through the whole, like she can see through the fact that you say you want to, you want this sort of freedom, and I think you can spot, you're like, this guy never wants to grow up, and I need to push him to do that. I think. A
few home truths.
Exactly, a few home truths that only a mother could give. I think. Yeah.
All my children are really slow.
Luke, you know what I've noticed? That Benedict is somehow in a search of permission, but not from society, but from himself.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is, because it's sort of like a little. It's like he's got a. I think a lot. Obviously, this season does focus a lot on, the sort of societal rules, specifically around the sort of upstairs downstairs thing. But actually, I think what the show really does interestingly is focus not necessarily only on the outside strictures, but on how they affect you.
Exactly.
And I think in a strange kind of way. Obviously, Sophie, there's all sorts of strictures, but for Benedict, there's a sort of like being a second son of a wealthy family. He is sort of he's sort of internalized that position, and he's sort of he's like, well, I sort of don't really matter. Like, I can just sort of be in the sidelines and just sort of like float about and not really commit to anything.
He's chill.
Yeah, but then actually, I think that's why it's so. I always say it's so interesting to put a character like that in the center, like as a romantic lead, because he's not in the center of his own life, and he needs to sort of get real in a way.
But you know what they say, trust between generations isn't necessarily given, it's built.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. They also say youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
was there a moment in this season where you felt that Violet and Benedict can perceive each other as equals rather than mother and son?
I would say there are a couple of little snippets of moments within scenes. I think the first time that she talks about the Penwood household with the glove, you see a side of her that is helpful.
Yeah. Which he then relays to Eloise, doesn't he? He says, you know, our mother might surprise you.
Yeah.
I think it is equals, but also I think like there's this lovely tension, I think. And I think the reason why that's interesting is that family, I think people that you're really close to are often the people that it's most difficult to have a real argument with, because you're sort of terrified of hurting them somewhere as well. So I think it's a very delicate relationship, I think. Like it's you can feel like the stakes are very high for them to get really angry at each other or really, you know, frustrated.
There's also a moment of talking about how you are most like me. I was like you as a child, and, and I think that's a kind of an equals moment.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
But what do you think Violet and Benedict teach each other this season about courage, trust, freedom of choice?
I think the revelation of what Sophie actually means to you is a shock to Violet. I think in a way that puts her in her place.
Yeah. I think that's right. Yeah.
So I think you've taught me to trust a little more.
Maybe.
You know, when you love somebody, you have to accept their choices, even though their path surprises you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
True. The dynamic between Violet and Bridgerton illustrates the idea that true love sometimes means letting go of control. Because even though Violet wants to control the path Benedict goes on, she eventually perhaps allows her son to be happy.
Yes, I think that's true. And I think, I think I'd say also on Benedict's side, he sees himself as having been very relaxed and free and sort of easygoing about things. But I think that in itself is its own way of controlling things. By not giving anyone too much of yourself, you're sort of controlling your relationship. So it's a paradox, because I think you look at Benedict in season 1, 2, and 3, you think, oh, he's very, you know, he's pretty sort of easygoing and sensitive, and he doesn't feel bothered by things. But actually, I think trying to be free all the time is its own form of control. Like real surrender is actually surrendering to someone or surrendering to love, and you can't. You know, I think that's why the moment at the end of episode 4 with the Be My Mistress moment is such a surprise, but also makes sense of Benedict, because he is actually deep down inside just as controlling of himself as, you know, he wants to sort of section out his life. He's too scared, I think.
He's pragmatic in a way.
Well, I think it's more that he's too scared. I think he's too scared to join all the dots and give everyone all of himself, I think.
That's true. It's a difficult situation, even in our times.
Yeah.
So, do you think Violet understands Benedict?
Yes. Yeah. I think like in a sort of intuitive way. You know, like it goes in that sort of way that mothers, it goes very deep, doesn't it? I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And as I said, there's a moment where she talks about how they are the most similar. Which is probably what is also frustrating to her. And thinking about your last question, I think Violet tries to control things, but actually she has described her own love with their father as something that was uncontrollable. So, you know, she forgets that.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, Violet has experienced both great love and great loss. And I think there's a challenge choosing to trust again.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about that?
I think I have found it really lovely to be able to show someone of my age to show somebody of my age who experiences all the same things. We all come with baggage. And it's quite nice to show that, I think.
It's really inspiring.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thing of a new start.
A new start. And it's not the same love. Love is always different with the different people, and it's quite nice to show that. But that tentativeness because of the amount of baggage you're hauling around with you is nice to show. I've enjoyed that.
Thank you. It's such a nice message to end this interview, and thank you for your time.
Thank
and I
you.
hope to see you again.